In this video, we'll learn about Vray FastSSS2 material, which is a dedicated subsurface scattering shader. Basically, most of the things you can do with the FastSSS2 material can be done with a Vray material, but it might be a bit faster for subsurface scattering. I mean, it's just a simpler material compared to Vray material, so it can be more user-friendly for creating subsurface scattering-based materials. Hey folks, welcome to MoGraph Plus. This video is a free sample from our course, The Ultimate Introduction to Vray for Blender. It's a massive 13-hour course where we dive deep into every aspect of Vray for Blender, everything you need to know step by step. If you'd like to master Vray inside Blender, make sure to check out the full course. You'll find the link right down in the description. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever we post new tutorials and lessons. I'm going to select the statue object. Add a new Vray material, delete the Vray MTL node, and add a new FastSSS2 material from the Add menu, and connect it to the material input of the output node. Immediately you notice how you can feel the light is scattering inside the object. Subsurface scattering, or SSS, simulates the effect of light entering an object and scattering beneath its surface. Not all incoming light rays reflect from a surface. Some of it will penetrate below the surface of an illuminated object. There it will be absorbed by the material and scattered internally. Some of this scattered light will make its way back out of the surface and become visible to the camera. This is known as subsurface scattering, or SSS. And it is necessary for the realistic rendering of materials such as marble, skin, fruits, plastic, leaves, wax, milk, and so on. Vray FastSSS2 material has three components or layers: a diffuse and a subsurface scattering layer and a specular layer. We have this scale value down here. We also have this scatter radius parameter. Scatter radius controls the amount of light scattering in the material. Smaller values like 1 centimeter cause the material to scatter less light and to appear more diffuse-like. Higher values like 10 centimeters make the material more translucent. For now, let's set it to 2. Scale here additionally scales or multiplies the subsurface scattering radius, meaning if you increase the scale value, the subsurface scattering will be stronger and the material will look more translucent. And if you decrease it, the material will be less translucent. Let's try 3, 5, 10, and 20. Each time we increase the scale value, we make the material more translucent. For now, let's set the scale to 3. In the diffuse and subsurface scattering layers, first we have overall color, which controls the overall color of the material and filters both the diffuse and the subsurface scattering color. Let's change it to a purple color with the RGB values of 1, 0.28, and 0.34. Let me set the overall color back to pure white, which means the diffuse and subsurface colors will be used as they are, unchanged. Next, we have diffuse color and diffuse amount. Right now, diffuse amount is set to 0, so at the moment, this material has no diffuse layer or diffuse contribution and only has subsurface scattering and specular reflections. By increasing this value, we are adding the diffuse component of the material and at the same time decreasing the subsurface scattering layer. So at 0, there is no diffuse and only subsurface and specular layers. At 0.5, we have both diffuse and subsurface scattering. And at 1, the material will only have diffuse and specular reflections and no subsurface scattering. So depending on the exact material that you are trying to achieve, you can use different diffuse amounts. For example, a marble material doesn't need diffuse contribution at all, but something like maybe a plastic shader might require diffuse contribution. Let's set the diffuse amount to 0.5. And diffuse color specifies the color of the diffuse portion of the material. We can try a few colors. For now, set the diffuse color and amount to their default values. We have subsurface color, which controls the general color for the subsurface portion or layer of the material. Let's try a few colors here, maybe like a light blue or pink or orange. For now, let's reset it to the default color. Then we have scatter color, which specifies the internal scattering visible in thin backlit parts of the objects. Brighter colors cause the material to scatter more light and to appear more translucent. Darker colors cause the material to look more diffuse-like. Let's try a few different scatter colors as well. And get back to our default scatter color. If I change the subsurface color to a pink color, like 0.5 for red, 0.16 for green, and 0.26 for blue. Now, because we have no diffuse amount and the overall color is set to pure white, we get a very dominant purple colored object. Also, if I change the overall color to a darker gray, you can notice in the preview how it filters the subsurface color and makes it a darker, less saturated pink. Maybe we can reset the overall color back to its default. You notice how a hint of this green color spreading beneath the surface of the object. Let's use the same pink SSS color for the scatter color as well. Next, we have scatter radius, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this lesson, it controls the amount or depth of light scattering inside the material. Smaller values cause the material to have shallower layer of scattered light and to appear less translucent. Higher values allow the light rays to scatter deeper inside and make the material look more translucent. Let's try 1, 2, 4, 10, and 20. As we increase the scatter radius, we make the material more translucent. Let's leave it at 2. If we come back up a bit, we have these two color modes, subsurface color plus scatter radius, which is the current mode. We also have a scatter coefficient plus fog color mode. Subsurface color and scatter radius mode uses subsurface color and an inside scatter color that becomes visible in backlit parts of the objects that are thinner than the scatter radius. And you normally use this mode for opaque materials like different fruits, marble, plastic, and so on. But if I change the mode to scatter coefficient and fog color, this mode uses a scatter coefficient to define the outside scatter layer color and translucency, and a fog color for the inside scattering. If you remember, when working on the translucency section of the Vray material, we had a set of similar parameters. This mode works better for translucent or refractive materials like juice or ice, and works best when single scatter under the option tab is set to ray traced solid or ray traced refractive. We talk about those later on in the lesson. For now, let's change the single scatter mode to ray traced solid. Let's change the scatter coefficient color to a light blue with the RGB values of 0.03, 0.3, and 0.5. And change the fog color to a saturated green with the RGB values of 0.07, 0.5, and 0.04. You can see the blue scatter coefficient color defines the inside scatter color, and the green fog color controls the color of the near the surface scattering. Next, we have this phase function parameter. At 0, we get an isotropic medium, which scatters the light evenly in all directions, giving a uniform effect. Positive values like 0.5 bias the scattering effect forwards in the direction of the light, while negative values bias the scattering backward toward the light. Most water-based materials like skin and milk exhibit strong forward scattering, while hard materials like marble exhibit backward scattering. For now, let's set it to 0.5. Next, we have our specular or reflection layer, and the parameters here should be very familiar to you. We have our specular color, which is the color of the reflections. It is usually white. We have specular amount, which controls the strength of the reflections. Even though we have no Fresnel options here, an automatic Fresnel curve will be applied to reflections. Specular glossiness controls how sharp or blurry the reflections are. Higher values means sharper reflections, and lower values mean blurry reflections. We have trace reflections, and if you disable it, only the highlights or light reflections will be computed, and other reflections, meaning objects' reflections in each other, will be ignored. And finally, reflection depth, which is the number of reflection bounces for the material. Now let's take a look at the options rollout. First is the single scatter mode, which controls how the single scattering component is calculated. Subsurface scattering layer itself consists of two components, a single scattering component and a multiple scattering component, and together they create the final subsurface scattering layer. Single scattering occurs when light bounces once inside the material. Multiple scattering results from light bouncing 2 or more times before leaving the material. In previous versions of Vray, you had a few options to manage the multiple scattering component as well, but now FastSSS2 material is always rendered using the ray-traced multiple scattering algorithm, which makes the whole material more user-friendly. We have simple, and in this method, the single scattering will be approximated from the surface lighting and its preferred choice for opaque translucent materials like skin. In the ray-trace solid method, the single scattering component is accurately calculated by sampling the volume inside the object. This method is preferred for highly translucent materials like marble or milk, which at the same time are relatively opaque. In this mode, refraction rays won't be traced. We have ray-trace refractive. It is similar to ray-trace solid, but it also calculates refraction rays. This option is useful for transparent materials like water or glass, and in this mode the material will also produce transparent shadows. We have refraction depth, and it is the number of bounces for the refraction rays when the single scattering mode is set to ray trace refractive. Next, we have scatter GI. By default, it is disabled, and when it is disabled, global illumination is calculated using a simple diffuse approximation on top of the subsurface scattering, and when enabled, the global illumination is included as part of the surface illumination map for multiple scattering. Obviously, enabling this option will result in increased render time and more accurate results, especially for highly translucent materials. So that's about Vray FastSSS2 material. See you in the next one.